it's now time to invite Debjani Ghosh to share her valuable thoughts on the topic Deep Tech Mission Critical Innovations. Debjani Ghosh is the president of the National Association of Software and Services Companies, fondly known as NASSCOM, since April 2018. A veteran of the technology industry, she's the fifth president of NASSCOM and the first woman at the helm in 3-decade history. She's a firm believer in the power of technology in enhancing lives and livelihoods, leveraging it for societal good. She was instrumental in developing Think Digital, Think India strategy aimed at establishing India as a hub for digital talent and innovation. I'm inviting Ms. Debjani Ghosh.
Thank you very much, PG and Team Cyber Media, for having me here today and giving me this opportunity to speak on a topic very close to my heart. Well, talking about innovation, the one thing that has absolutely fascinated me about the last one and a half to 2 years is the so-called dichotomy of COVID. On one hand, COVID resulted in the kind of suffering, the kind of loss that most of us have not seen before in our life. And on the other hand, we saw the pandemic unleash the power of science, the power of technology, and the power of innovation like the world has never experienced before. As we raced to find ways to control the virus and to fight the virus, COVID has truly demonstrated not just the crucial importance of innovation in our times for solving for human survival, frankly, but it has also made us realize that innovation is the only way forward, is the only ammunition we have available when we are faced by a crisis. Nothing else matters, nothing else can help. It is our ability to innovate and how fast we innovate that determines how effectively we will be able to overcome the challenge or not. It's frankly our only hope. And given the challenges that we are faced with, that's pretty much looming out there in the horizon, I do believe that we need to put some serious thought on organizing for innovation in crisis. That has to be a key priority. And in fact, that has to be the priority for nations. How ready are we to tackle looming challenges like climate change? I mean, the war from COVID is still going on. It's far from over. It will not be over until and unless we figure out how to vaccinate every single human being on this planet. And then, it's not the only war we are fighting. As I said, the climate change crisis is getting more and more serious by the day. There is this ongoing battle that humankind have been fighting to figure out ways to provide basic access to education, to healthcare, to clean water, nutrition to every single planet on Earth, to eradicate poverty and to eradicate hunger. Thankfully, emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, quantum, that's a lot of development going on in that space, is giving us the ability to tackle some of these mega problems that we have not been able to solve till now. If anything, we have realized in the last 1.5 to 2 years, the power of the technology as it enabled us not just develop one vaccine, but successfully develop multiple vaccines in record time to counter the challenge that the world was facing. I feel that this crisis has really made us realize that we are capable of doing much more, especially in the field of science and technology. We have the tools, we have the technology to solve some of these mega problems that have been challenging humankind for decades and decades. And it is now up to us to figure out how do we leverage and how do we organize for innovation in crisis to solve for some of these huge concerns that are basically to solve for humanity. We need the mother of all grand challenges to solve for humanity. And as we do that, it definitely helps a lot uh, to look back at history, to take a look at the rearview mirror and see what are the lessons we can learn from history about building that innovation in crisis mindset. And surprisingly, well, not so surprisingly, history does have some fascinating lessons for us, which we will be extremely ill advised to ignore or to forget. Interestingly, on this topic, I was reading and a very well-written paper by Gross and Sampath about the lessons that we can learn from World War II about innovation in crisis. At the crux of the story is the formation of OSRD, the Office of Scientific Research and Development by the United States government to help them win the war. Um, Interestingly, when the US was entering the Second World War in 1941, it was struggling to figure out how it would be able to equip its soldiers. What are the tools? What are the technologies it could provide its soldiers with so that they would be able to fight in a variety of severe conditions? I mean, from the mountains of Italy to the mosquito infested Pacific coast. How do they survive hundreds of feet below in submarine? How do they survive hundreds of thousands of feet above in bombers, etc., etc.? Um, the US was desperately trying to figure out ways to not just enable them survive these challenges, but to enable them do the one thing that the country really needed, that is win the war for the United States of America. And it is with this in mind that the United States government created the Office of Scientific Research and Development to engage a dream team of techies and scientists from across the country to come together, to collaborate, to raise the innovation bar, to raise the innovation quotient, and help them meet the crisis head on, and frankly, to help them overcome the crisis by winning the war. By the end of the war, OSRD had led to several developments of crucial military inventions like the proximity fuse, the radar, and of course, the atomic bomb. But to be fair, if you look back at the history of OSRD and its breakthroughs, they went far beyond missiles and bombs. It supported the first ever mass production of penicillin, in part by contracting with the chemical manufacturer Pfizer to produce the key antibiotic materials. The agency invested in malaria treatments. It developed an early influenza vaccine. It invested in microwave communication. It built the foundation of early computing. I mean, though OSRD was wrapped up around 1947 or so, its influence over some of the most breakthrough innovations of the 20th century cannot be ignored. And it taught the world the power of innovation in crisis, the role of innovation in crisis, and what it takes to innovate in crisis. And this paper very aptly calls out some of these key lessons, which I wanted to share with you because I feel they're just tremendously relevant for our times. First, the power of collaboration. It was extremely important then, and it is absolutely a must do today. It basically stands between success and failure when it comes to innovation. We were able to find a vaccine in less than a year because of the tremendous collaboration we saw in the scientific community, where companies and academia came together to jointly figure out how they could come out with the vaccine. And we will need this collaboration going forward. As I said, the war with COVID is far from over, and there are bigger wars waiting in the horizon, not that distant horizon. We will have to not just collaborate, but we'll have to up the collaboration, to cross borders, to cross all the differences that we have, so that the world can come together, the best minds across the world can come together and to find the solutions that will be crucial for the survival of humanity. And this applies not just to the mega problem. This applies to businesses. This applies to governments. Innovation today is all about co-creation, and that's another extremely important lesson. We have to know how to accept and nurture the changing, business of innovation, the changing models of innovation. Today, innovation is all about co-creation. You're seeing startups work with large companies to co-create solutions because it is impossible, given the complexity and the gamut of technology that we are dealing with. It is impossible to have all the skills under one roof. In fact, one of the most exciting trends in the Indian tech journey is the rise of our deep tech startups. Indian tech startups have led the innovation charter from the front, coming out with disruptive products, services, and even disruptive delivery models, business models. We've seen innovation across the startup value chain, which is tremendously exciting. And it is very encouraging, very heartening to see large companies, not just tech companies, but companies like hospitals. We have education institutes. We have manufacturing companies, cement companies, travel companies. Everyone collaborating with the startups, with the tech startups, to find or co-create joint solutions to their problems. This has led to the development of some really interesting products and platforms. Few examples: Wipro's partnership with Squadcast, security startup. Then you have Yellow AI that has been working with the income tax department for conversational AI. You have ToneTag, which is a sound wave technology company that is partnering with Amazon to figure out a way that their consumers can shop offline. Niramai, a startup, a deep tech startup that pretty much revolutionized breast cancer screening, is now developing easy to use rapid COVID screening tests that is being tested, piloted by some of the mega tech companies in their campuses with RMC. I mean, co-creation is the new norm when it comes to innovation, and we have to ensure that we enable these new business models to thrive. The third lesson that I found very fascinating and very apt is the need to not reinvent the wheel, the need to use existing body of knowledge, whether it was World War II or whether it was the fight against COVID. It is the fight against COVID. Our scientists have relied on existing knowledge to find solutions, be it development of vaccines, drugs to find COVID, or be it the development of all the military inventions that helped the American soldiers to win, to fight World War II. Fourth, and the most important one, is the need to invest in science, the need to invest in research and development, the need to invest in skilling for research and development. I think this has to be job one for all countries, especially India. We significantly have to work towards upping our investment in R&D, both across government and industry. I mean, this is a must do, because if we don't invest in the foundation, then we are not going to go very far. The innovation of today and innovation of the future does look very different from innovation of the past. I absolutely agree with that. But today, nearly 80 years later, nearly 80 years since the Second World War, let's not forget that we are once more engaged in an epic battle with an enemy that is far more dangerous, far more unpredictable than anything we have seen. It is a crisis like none that we have experienced till now. And just as the US realized in 1941, the pandemic has demonstrated the critical importance of innovation and how we respond to crisis. It's the one thing that decides whether we win the war or not. So we should not ignore the lessons of the past. No matter how different the technology looks, no matter how different the models of innovation look, some of the core building blocks of innovation have not changed. And it is important to ensure that we invest in the foundation, we invest in building the core building blocks. This is going to be absolutely critical for us, not just to find the solutions we need to find to to counter the challenges that we are faced with, but also to establish India as a leader in the innovation world, in the world of innovation, in the world of scientific discovery. I honestly believe that we are doing very good, but we have to build a stronger foundation. We have to invest more in research. You know, given the complexities we face in India, especially with respect to last mile delivery challenges, I do believe that we are the most fertile ground for innovation. And if we innovate for India, we will innovate for the world. So we have no choice left but to up the innovation game in India. We have to make it a priority one. I pretty much believe that we depend on it. Our lives depend on it. Human race depends on it. And it's the only way we can create that truly inclusive, sustainable, greener future that we dream of. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ghosh, for such wonderful words and this insight in today's time.